All right, welcome to the second recording, taping, podcast of the Never Enough podcast. My name is David Babineau, and today I am excited and honored to be able to sit down and take a little time with Pastor Joel. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. It's a lovely day.
It is.
Lovely
It
day.
is. I am. Man, praise God. The winter time has passed.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I am ready. I am past due for some warm weather.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I still feel like though that we're gonna have one more storm for some reason. I don't know why. I hope not. I hope not. We had one last year, April 15.
Really?
remember.
You remember that?
Because I visited from Texas,
Okay.
and my flight was delayed on the way back home because of the ice. So,
Well,
we'll talk. Well, we won't forget about that. That's anyway.
so we're here. This is the second podcast. Moses and Levi did the first one.
They did.
So shout out to those guys for their time and just kind of getting this all going. Definitely gotta give Joe White some love. Shout out to Joe for setting this all up, making it happen, putting in the time, the dedication, the editing. We all know that takes a long time. So
a lot of time.
Joe, we appreciate you and your
this setup. Check out this setup, man.
Yeah, like this is
it's great.
Yeah,
Levi and Moses did an awesome job the first podcast, and shout out to Joe for putting all this together.
Thank you, Joe. So, we are gonna be kind of talking about you, your family, a little bit about Austin. Now you're back, and you were just with us 2 weeks at Never Enough, and you talked about stick with it. And so before we get into that, just kind of tell the people a little bit about Austin, and now you're back and what's going on. I'm sure there are some new faces in Never Enough that you've seen. We've had some sixth graders come up, and then we'll have some new people come up again this year. I think your son's, is he moving up this summer?
Yeah, he is moving up this summer.
Is that weird?
It is really weird. It is really weird. But it's all exciting at the same time. He's excited about it, so he's looking to play the drums. So
interesting. Okay.
So he's got some big shoes to fill with Keegan and so looking forward to that. But so actually I was looking at the calendar, and it's been 10 months yesterday that we've been back from Austin.
That's crazy.
It is. So we got back June 5 of 2018. So been 10 months, but kind of just going back, first of all, Austin, Texas, one of the greatest cities in the world. I mean, not just in America, but in the world.
For sure.
And, you being a Texas guy as well, too, that Texas is great. Texas is a great state. Good food, culture, churches, just great, right?
Absolutely.
Never a bad meal in Austin, Texas.
Never. There are a lot of good meals.
Yeah. So anyway, we moved out to Austin summertime of 2017. We just felt like that we were moving on, and we were connected with a lot of places in Central Texas, Austin in particular, a lot of churches, a lot of business people that we knew. And so we felt that making the move would just be the right thing for us, ministry-wise, family-wise, and we wanted to get out of this cold weather. So, just hooked up with some churches there, got connected with some business people, and and now here we are back in Holland, Michigan already, like a year later. So, I won't go into too much detail as far as all of the reasoning or what we felt, but I will say this, that it was around February of 2018. My wife and I were sitting on the couch, and we're watching the coverage of the unfortunate school shooting in Florida.
Yeah.
And I looked at my wife, and we looked at each other, and we just kind of felt we need to move back. I don't know why.
Wow.
We still had boxes that weren't unpacked yet. And so we just started kind of feeling the pull to come back to Michigan, and we had only been there for not even a whole year yet. And so we had the tough conversation again with our kids, you know, moving them from Holland, moving them from here to a new, I mean, not just down the road, like across the country, you know, to a whole different culture, a whole different, you know, just everything, climate, weather, way of living, just everything.
School friends.
Yep. So then they make new friends, and then now we're telling them that we're going to move back to Holland and take them away again from those friends again. So not a very fun conversation.
Not at all.
But you know, when God speaks and when you kind of feel that that's the right thing to do, well, it won't always feel right, but we know that it was the best thing for us to do at that time. So it was good being gone for that year. Nothing against Michigan, but I loved being in Austin, Texas. And but I will say there was some disappointment, some frustration with the move back here, which you know, the 2 weeks that I was at Never Enough, I talked a little bit about, got really open and honest about it, and you know, still working through that disappointment and that frustration a little bit. But you know, God's mercy and grace is so great that you know, He's going to help us get through anything.
That's right.
And we may never fully know the answers or the whys or how comes, you know, and we may never know that, but we just keep moving forward, you know, just keep going. And so here we are back in Holland, and you know, adjusting well. You know, it's amazing only being gone for a year how much you have to adjust.
Yeah.
Coming back even to a place that you were born and raised in. So but it's good to be back. Good to be back with you guys, and you know, with Never Enough, and with the church, and with people that we consider friends. So it's great.
Yeah. And you're back here, but you were kind of always still connected, even though you were across the country in Texas. You knew what was going on. You saw social media.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that is really cool about you, because of, you know, your history with the church, serving as youth pastor, traveling, being under the covering of the house. You always had a feel. You always had a sense of what was happening, what we were struggling with, what we were victorious in summer camps and winter retreats. I mean, you've really always been there. So I really like that about you, and that you've always just always kind of had a sense, and just kind of like a wiretap. You were just connected, and you knew what was going on. So thank you for always being connected with us.
I appreciate that. I think that's very important. You know, I would listen to Apostle Fred's messages every week, and you know, we were constantly, you know, texting each other on the phone. Obviously, you know, texting with some of the youth leaders, and you know, even around like basketball season, you know, texting you and you know,
did you see the game?
Yeah, you see the game? Were you watching this? Or so no, I mean, you know, just because we were in a different state, you know, we never left anything. We just moved on, and I think that was a lot of the mentality was that, you know, Joel and Melissa are leaving. No, we weren't leaving. We were just moving forward. There's a whole difference between leaving and moving. So
Absolutely.
So just because we had moved on didn't mean that our connection changed or anything like that. So very important to stay connected.
So you're back here. How is the transition coming? Because people may think, oh, he's been back for 10 months. Everything should be gravy, should be rolling. But like it takes time to transition. It takes time to settle in. Like you even mentioned, when you and your wife felt, wow, we got to get back, that there were still boxes that were unpacked. So just kind of talk a little bit about what transition means and what it has meant for you and your family.
Well, to be, you know, honest, the transition has been very not fun.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been there.
Not fun. Yeah. You know, I mean, you of all people know that, you know, coming up from Beaumont, Texas, you know, and coming up here and, you know, leaving family and, you know, it hasn't been fun just because, you know, we had made the transition to be out of Holland
Right.
to Austin and to Texas and to what we felt God had for us, then to come back so quickly and be like, well, I thought we were moving on from this, but obviously, there's still a purpose for us here,
For sure.
and to be honest, we're not sure exactly what that is yet, and so we're just one day at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
One day at a time. I like what Rocky Balboa says in Creed. He says, one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time. And that's how I feel like that's where our family is at right now, is just one day at a time, one thing at a time. And, opportunities, come up. I did take a position with Holland Public Schools at Jefferson Elementary. I have a behavior counselor there. So that wasn't in the plan, but it presented itself, and we saw that as one round at a time, one punch at a time, one step at a time. So I took the position, and the impact and the influence and the relationship that I've been building there is all for the kingdom, and it's all really good. So I'm doing that right now. My wife got her old job back that she had had for many, many years.
Yeah, I remember that.
Children, my kids are going to a different school now. They were going to Holland, then to Eagle Crest, then now they're in Zeeland Public Schools.
Okay.
So, the transition it's been tough, but 10 months into it, I'm sure glad we're in month 10 and not month 1 being back. But it's still kind of difficult, but we're just still trucking through, still getting through it.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. Any mission trips? I know your buddy Daniel, you guys are connected well. Anything coming up that you foresee?
Yeah, well, no, you mentioned Daniel. Shout out to Daniel Bazinski. I'm sure he'll listen to this. Love you, bro. Miss you. Saw him a couple weeks ago, but for all the years that we traveled together, it's just been one of those things where we reevaluate ourselves with what we're doing. And so from like 2013 all the way up till 2016, part of 2017, we had been doing a lot of trips, Peru, Dominican Republic, Haiti, bringing large teams. And those were really good, but we kind of reevaluated who we were and what we wanted to accomplish. So we kind of stopped doing what we would call the large outreach crusades. One, it costs a lot of money to do that. And so we kind of pulled back a little bit on that and started doing smaller scale trips in public schools with government, with business leaders. And we wanted just to have more of a sustainable impact. Not to say that what we were doing was bad. Right. It's just, we were kind of in and out, So we started doing things a little bit differently. But, Daniel's kind of doing his thing right now. I'm doing my thing. We're still very well connected.
Right, and that's okay.
And that's okay. So, but as far as mission trips with him, we don't have anything planned right now. Is a possibility that I will be in Israel later this year. Not too sure about that, but my whole traveling schedule has decreased significantly just because the demand on my life right now, David, is different. Right. And so, but the impact's still there. The influence and the impact's still there, just in a different realm. So, yeah, but things change. Calls come, and I mean, I get emails almost 2-3 a week from India and Pakistan and Tajikistan or whatever, so I mean, we could create a mission trip like that, but the demand's different right now. So
different, as we know it, a different mountain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different mountains.
Absolutely.
So you were with us past 2 weeks, and your message for these 2 weeks was stick with it. Talk to us a little bit about stick with it.
Yeah. So I based the theme on Galatians 5:22 and 23, and from the Message Bible, and I'm just going to read it. It says, "But what happens when we live God's way? He brings gifts into our lives, much the same way that fruit appears in an orchard, things like affection for others, exuberance about life, and serenity." And then we focused on this part. We develop a willingness to stick with things.
Mm.
And I love how the Message translators translated that. We develop a willingness to stick with things. Now, the word develop means to cause to grow. And so we talked a lot about how, perseverance just doesn't come. You're just not born with it. You have to develop it.
Everybody has to do it.
Yeah. So we're just in a constant stage of development.
Right.
It would be nice if we just were able to have this perseverance. And
I've told people so many times in my life, I wish it was as I really like just the Hispanic cultures, Brazil, Mexico, Central America. I wish I could just take a pill and learn Portuguese and Spanish and just be it's just not like that. We have to put in the time, put in the work, learn, and allow what we're trying to craft or develop to grow. And perseverance is definitely one of those things. And the funny thing about it is that you're usually persevering through something that's difficult. You're not persevering through good things. That's kind of silly. You persevere through difficult, challenging things. And my illustration for that is lifting weights.
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to hurt. Yeah. It's supposed to be sore.
Very true.
Because those fibers, that muscle, it's growing, it's stretching.
Yeah.
It's supposed to not feel good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And those are perfect examples, and your whole perspective on it is just really what I kind of wanted to get across to Never Enough. And, again, I got open and honest about our disappointment and frustration with what we thought was going to happen, or what we thought what we were stepping into. But, God's ways are so much higher than ours. And, God does like risk takers.
Right.
And so we took a huge risk. And I don't even want to say it didn't work out, because I truly believe that if there is never failure when we're pursuing Jesus. I don't believe that. So
that's good.
But I got open and honest about, it was hard to stick with it because of our disappointment and our frustration.
Right. Yeah.
Got open and honest how I felt about God, my frustration with Him, and if I really even wanted to do this thing called Christianity or ministry anymore, So really kind of focused on, as well as that, hey, if you're feeling these things, temptation to stop, to quit, or if you have quit in the past, that you're not a bad person.
Right. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Not the first one.
And you're not the
way.
first one. And you've actually developed yourself to do something different the next time. And so really those 2 weeks were all about, learning how to develop, progress, grow, and then ultimately learn, really, to stick with things in every area of your life, whether it's the gifting on your life, your personality, your identity, your creativity, dreams, whatever, anything you want to do is always, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy to get there.
Right.
And so we have to develop ourselves and learn how to stick with it no matter what. And so that's what I really wanted to pour into Never Enough, those 2 weeks that I was there with them.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's definitely something that needs to be taught more. I think just because people don't realize the difficulty that it can be to get to a place that you want to go, or get that job that you want to get, or get into that college that you want to get. It shouldn't start your senior year trying to get into that school. No, you start looking at that thing freshman year. You start looking out.
Yep.
Sophomore year, you're digging into a little bit more. And junior year, you're ready to go. Senior year, you should be already hopefully into that school. And so it takes time, it takes work, and it's sticking with it is definitely. It's not something that goes away in life. It just it just happens throughout different times of your life when you're in a relationship, different friendships, marriage, and you got kids, and
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
And for me personally, I want to thank Never Enough and the leaders and just, Never Enough as a whole, because I felt like it was good for me to release that and to talk about my frustration and ultimately I was there to inspire and hopefully motivate Never Enough, but
Sure.
it was just good for me to be able to release that to them. So thank you, Never Enough. Thank you, leaders.
Yeah.
David, you're obviously a youth leader. So, just to get that off my chest kind of, and to just talk about that. And I think one of the things that really hit me the most, which I had a couple kids tell me that they really liked what I had said, with my frustration and disappointment, not just with, moving back, but really with God. Like, how can you do this to me, God? And really with my disgust with God, I was really at a point where I was really disgusted with God, frustrated with him, angry with him, mad at him. And, almost when you do that with a person, you want to kind of distance yourself from them, you kind of get apart from them. But I really wasn't getting farther away from God in my feelings. I was actually getting closer to him. And so I said something along the lines of like, the past year, I'd never been more upset, disappointed, disgusted with God in the last year, but I've never been as close to him as well.
Yeah.
So, I think I had a couple students come up to me, tell me that really helped them. Yeah. And so that was worth it all, man.
Yeah, for sure. It lets them know
Absolutely.
that what they're feeling or experiencing, someone else has gone through it or is going through it, and it's okay.
And it's okay. It is okay. And we got to be there for each other, right? And
absolutely.
And everybody needs to understand each other's journey. We can never judge someone's mentality or their journey or what they're feeling or what they've done, really, because everybody's relationship with God's a little bit different. Everybody's different. And so if we're just there for each other and understand each other,
absolutely,
we're going to stick with it together. And that's why it's so important to have community, have Never Enough, a place like Never Enough, that we're there for each other at all times in every situation.
Absolutely. Very good. Man, thanks for sharing. That's good. It's important. I like that message. So moving on to the month of April, that was our first week of April. This past Wednesday, kicked off. We had spring break.
Yep.
And we had Trinity.
I heard. Yeah.
She snuck in and came home, and I think she's headed back. I forget when she's headed back, but she'll be here for a little bit, and she snuck in and just kind of talked about what was on her heart and being in Colorado. But for the rest of the month, Joe just had this idea of the 4 weeks of April, just to do something different every week. And so last week we had Instagram Controls my youth service.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. We had a great time. And the next week, this upcoming week, April 10th, it's just going to be a lot of fun activities, and I'll have the opportunity to speak at Never Enough, which has been a while for me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, really
excited for you.
Yeah. It'll be good. I'll be talking a little bit about trust and uncertainty, and I've had some interesting experiences at work, interviewing for different jobs and trying to find God in this this business world of where he wants me to go.
Yep.
And I'll be talking about, a path and a career, but what does that look like when trust and uncertainty and things don't go the right way?
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm really excited about it. It's ready.
You're full, man.
Yeah.
You're full. So y'all better come out on this Wednesday. Coming
April
up,
10th.
April 10th. Yeah, because I really feel that. I mean, it's such an important message, especially with young people. I mean, there's this mentality that to gain approval or to feel like you're doing God's will or His purpose is become a preacher, become a missionary, become a worship leader.
Yeah.
But not everybody's called to do that. And, to find that place in the business world or or wherever in media, or what we call it, the mountains
Yeah.
of society. Really, it's just life.
Right.
I just like to say in life, and that if you can find that, and if other people give you the permission to do that,
Mm-hmm.
which God has given us the permission to be ourselves and to do what He's called us to do. I think that message is so important
Yeah.
for young kids to hear, so that they can actually step into what God's actually called them to be, and not be a discount version of themselves, but to be a full version of what God has created them to be, and not to gain people's approval, but to just be fully effective.
Absolutely.
The person that they are. So like for you, it's in the business world right now,
Yeah, back in school.
and back in school, and that's where your influence is right now. That's where your impact is now. Obviously your family,
Yeah.
and so, but also never enough.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I love about the kingdom, is that all of us are like multi-dimensional.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
we've got our hand in a little bit of everything,
Mhm.
and I think that's the way God wants it to be.
Yeah. So that'll be this April 10th, this Wednesday. Really
10,
excited.
come on out. Don't
Really
want to miss
excited
it.
for that.
Yeah.
April 17th, it'll be a great night. It'll be kind of what we call a flow service, a flow night, where it's just a night of worship, and we just really allow Holy Spirit to come into the service, speak to us, speak to the students, and we just go after Him.
Yeah.
And we don't have an agenda.
See what happens.
We don't have a plan.
Those are the best times,
We
man.
just show up, and that's it.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss that as well either. Never enough students. Yeah. I might just show up for that.
That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. I love those.
Yeah.
So, and last but not least, April 24th, this will be a lot of fun. We're having a nerd night.
Oh man.
It's
Yeah.
just, shout out to Cam Rhea, her idea.
That's awesome. That's
so
so cool.
You're gonna want to put that on your calendar. Make sure you go shopping, hit up the thrift shops, whatever you gotta do. Come dressed
Nerd
in your
night.
best nerd outfit. I know for sure we'll have a best dressed nerd for a guy and a girl at least.
Yeah.
We'll see if Cam has some other categories or things like
Wow.
that. But
Okay.
I don't think we've had one of those. Do you ever remember that back in your day?
No.
Wow. So can I put a
no.
little more juice on that? The first
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
Never Enough Nerd
Yeah,
Night.
yeah.
And I love that.
Man, some exciting things coming up.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
that's pretty much the rest of the month of April. We are just kind of already gearing up for camp.
Wow.
Starting to plan. Me and my
Yep.
wife, we had dinner with Scott and Ange a couple of Thursdays ago, and just kind of talking about camp and our youth leadership meetings, and just kind of reading the notes, like, oh man, camp
It comes around so fast, doesn't it?
It'll
Like
be
you
here.
get done with it, and then all of a sudden there's meetings about it, and
Yeah.
then there's notes
Yeah.
about it, and then there's like meeting after meeting after meeting about it. So
Yeah, we're in the early stages, and
yeah.
we're doing great with our fundraisers, and so
Yep.
that'll be in of course in August, but that's
Yeah.
kind of what's going on.
Yeah, let me give a quick shout out to all the youth leaders for the Wall of Money thing. I know that started a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think this is the third year.
Third year, and it's just so awesome to see like all the things that are being done with the Wall of Monies, and a lot of people may not even know. The adults may not know. What's that money for? But it's for things like camp scholarships, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the new carpet and the remodeling
Yeah,
of the
we
youth
got
hall.
last year we got the new soundboard.
Got the new
upstairs.
soundboard, so it's all about like it's all being put to great use,
Right, yeah,
and
yeah.
to see like over $9,000 has been made. Like shout out to
Yeah, I think we're at a little bit over 10 now.
now,
Yeah.
really,
We're really
wow,
close.
wow,
I
okay,
think this Sunday is the last week.
yeah.
So coming Sunday,
See, and that's great. That's just cool to see.
yeah,
Investing in never enough,
Mm-hmm.
and investing in that generation that is going to, just do great things and is doing great things right
Yeah.
now. So yeah, good stuff, man. Exciting things at Never Enough
Yeah.
coming up.
yeah.
Got this podcast going on now, so I don't know who's going to be on it next, but
yeah.
just getting that hope and life and influence out there, man.
This
What
is
it's
good.
about. It
Got
is
a
good.
lot of good stuff going
It
on.
is good.
So
I'm-
Never Enough. That's the month of April.
Yep.
Pastor Joel, thank you so much for your
Yes, sir.
time.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you. Love
Yep.
you.
Love you too,
Thank
man.
you for all you're doing, and
Mhm.
Never Enough. Make sure you stay tuned in. Check out social media. Make sure you are keeping up with what's going on. Make sure you're signing up. We got the lock-in May 3rd.
Mm.
That'll be a lot of fun, which we'll have some fun stuff planned for that. So make sure you're checking social media. Make sure you're signing up for things. You're staying up to date on what's going on. And thank you, Joseph White. Shout out Joe for all your hard work and all you do. We love you. We appreciate you. And never enough. We'll see you next time.